Hey guys, super excited to do this very first race review. So before we get into what happened in my second race, we're going to talk about my very first race. So, rookie mistake, I left my water bottles at home. I have a big Nalgene, which I brought, but it doesn't fit into my bottle cages, so I had to borrow and finagle and get some from other people. So yeah, big rookie mistake. Already starting off on a bad note. Second, I have a terrible helmet. It's like 10 years old. Well, at the first race, and so then came home, ordered a new one, got that. Second one, whatever, great. Also, huge mistake, which is why I didn't have a race review of my first race, a for real one. I didn't have a battery in my GoPro, which is like the dumbest thing that I could have possibly done, right? So I don't have a battery in my GoPro. And so yeah, if you really want to see what happened, there's a guy, Claudio Marquez, I think, who does these, and he was at that race and recorded it. So I'll put the link for his video in the description, and it'll be like up there, I guess. So yeah, basically, there was a split in the group, and I was on the wrong side of that, and then the other guys lapped us, and then it was like, okay. And then I basically let everyone out to let them sprint for my group. So yeah, that was that. But now let's get into this week's race. So yeah.
Alright, so this is Ben Walton. His kit looks like a pumpkin, so that's why that's there. But he's a cool dude. He's in Spain right now. And this other guy on the right here in New England Devo, also a pumpkin, especially with those sunglasses. That's Kevin Mullaly. He's kind of just coaching me for these first couple races, so super grateful to him for like being there and telling me kind of what's going on, and the Wave Classic. But yeah, so let's get into this. This is, I believe, one lap in, or might be on the warm-up lap, not sure. This guy on the right here in the Rafa shorts, Castelli shirt, right in front of me right now is Noah Black. He crashed the week before this, just like a one-man crash. Luckily, he was able to come back out and race again, which was nice to see someone familiar. So kind of in the pre-race workups that I was talking with Ben, we were just kind of discussing tactics. I mean, this is my second race, so I have no idea what I'm doing. He told me to watch out for this kid in the World Champs jersey. I don't actually think he's the World Champ, but I'm not sure. He could be. And coming out of that corner that we just went through, it's always super surgy because it's narrow going in and wide coming out, and here are the overlays. My speed's with Ben. The speed is wonky. I've had problems with that recording, so that was a little wonky. But yeah, special thanks to Andrew Campbell for actually getting me these overlays, so that was nice. But yeah, so this is the Connecticut Cycling Advancement Program's Tuesday night Criterium, the series finale. There were 4. The series was postponed kind of with the coronavirus pandemic, and now we're back to racing. Some guys are wearing masks, some aren't. Kind of a mix, but either way, it was still great to actually ride my bike and race, even though I've never done it before. And yeah, so right there I touch wheels with the kid in the World Champ jersey, which was like, this is really bad. Like, I'm clearly not doing well. So I back off a ton, and Kevin is like right behind me, like yelling at me, like, what are you doing? Like, get up there, get on the wheels. So try to do that here. And like my RPM on my cadence was so surgy too. I mean, like, I'm going 27 right now, and then I don't know what happened, but just ridiculous. Yeah, the speed numbers are unbelievable. Like, not actually real, I think. Some of it is, some of it's not. But there's an attack right now, so it's like everyone's kind of blazing through. And this was, I mean, easily the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, hills, whatever, but trying to stay in a pack at high 20s is ridiculous. I mean, it's just so hard. So another buddy of mine was standing there on the left. He was riding in the A race. This was the B race, Cat 4-5. Ethan Del Grosso. He's a really good rider, like way better than I am. So kind of just Ben is coaching me through these corners. I probably should have said off the bat, I ride for Team I Hate Cancer, and I will put a link in the description and up in the corner right now for their shop and their website. And they have some pretty sick kit from Champion System, which I'm wearing in this race, and some cool socks from Defeat, however you say that. So yeah, I mean, my heart rate's at 180 right now, which is probably the highest it's been ever, excluding like a couple of cross-country races, which I do run, by the way. So yeah, so a couple of cross-country races has probably been up there, but I mean, I hit 190 in this race, and the week before I hit like 193 or something. So crazy high numbers for me to be like doing, just because I've never really done that before. So yeah, my cadence was super high. Like, I wasn't shifting as much as I should have probably. I mean, because my cadence is at 116 right now, and I think I just downshifted. I don't know, but it like super fast and super hard, and it's my first race, so like, or second race. So my first race, like I said in the intro, I got there was a big split, brake got off, lapped us, my group, and it got way messy with people mixing in and whatever, and then I let everyone out because I'm stupid and have no sprint and have no idea what I'm doing. So that's always lovely. But one of the things that I think I really should have done better is get on wheels, because after I touched wheels with the dude on the left right there, the world champ kit, riding whatever bike that is, it looks really nice. After I touched wheels with him, I was really worried about it, and so I just instinctively backed off, which may not have been the best idea in hindsight, simply because I lost a lot of, I mean, I was just burning energy trying to close down wheels, and then I wasn't even getting that close. So, I mean, like right now I'm trying to get in this draft of the total endurance time trial, like dude right there on the right there, but I didn't do it well enough. So then Kevin comes around and is like, hey, you're not doing it right, let me give you my draft, and to get me back up. And then he's like motioning me, because like I said, I got no idea what's going on. But yeah, that corner is sketch, mostly because it's just kind of wide, and then everyone comes in. I guess all corners are like that, right? Everyone comes into the inside, but that one is just really scary. I don't know why. I mean, so is this next one, mostly because there's a manhole cover right on the inside line. So like, I went over it a couple of times, but I was afraid, like right there, I was afraid that like I was gonna lose traction and slide out. But so, I mean, like right here, just I lost the wheels completely. So, and I'm doing 115 cadence, and I should be doing 90 maybe, and in a smaller gear so that I'm going faster. But like, I got no idea what I'm doing. So my heart's at 185, which is pretty high, and I'm kind of dying already. I mean, so the first race before this was very hard for me because I wasn't following wheels very close. I wasn't really I wasn't riding aggressively, I think. I was kind of trying to not get hurt, not crash, and not get dropped, which were my main goals. And I was literally on the back of what was left of the pack, what was left of the peloton. And we don't have it's not a real peloton, but like I was on the back of that for a good 20 minutes of the 50-minute race after the break went. And then when they caught us, I was no longer on the back, and then I let everyone out, so I wasn't on the back. But when I was, like, I let gaps open up, and it was just trying to survive and not die, not get totally wrecked from crashing. So I think Noah pulled out, or not Noah, Kevin. Noah and Ben are both still in this race, but Kevin has pulled out, I think, at this point because he was in there to coach me for the first little bit and then yell at me from the sidelines for the rest of it, because he's like cat 1, 2, 3. Oh, and here's my water bottle, which I was holding because it's kind of hard to like pick a section to drink. So notice the guy on the right, not the Radio Shack, but there were two guys on the right that just went by. And we'll watch out for them later with like 5 laps to go or so. There are some issues that I have. Those guys. So let's jump ahead quite a bit actually. So commentary will start soon. little bit later, I believe. So I bumped a guy earlier, which was me not being very careful. It might be earlier or it might be pretty soon. I don't remember. But that was really scary because I was like right next to him, and like it was shoulder, hip, and like both of us were like pushing in and pushing out. It was weird. It was like really scary. But yeah, that was that. We're in the middle of the race about. There's probably just under a half hour left of this 50-minute crit. So yeah, the wind, I believe, is coming from just about the direction that we're riding in right now. And the week before that, it had been a tailwind on that long sweeping left-hand bend. So at this point, I was kind of feeling good, right? Like I haven't gotten dropped yet. A brake hasn't gone. So it's not like people attack, counterattack, it's not super surgy, other than when there's like 2 attacks or something. I mean, there's like one every 2 laps maybe, where someone like tries to go, and then other people pull it back, and so it's a Cat 4 race, so there's literally no team organization. I think everyone in this race was riding solo. Except for me at the beginning. I had Kevin, but he wasn't like actually helping me. So, I mean, he was helping, but he wasn't a teammate. He was just being a cool dude and helping out. So, once again, coming around this sweeping left-hand bend, and this is where I always lost wheels, because it's that you kind of go in super bunchy. It bunches up at the corner before that, or at that corner before the long straight and then the bend. Bunches up because it kind of just slows down there because everyone's slowing down to go into that corner, and then it strings out super fast. So the people on the front are kind of controlling it pretty well. And I'm starting to work my way up here. I don't know why, or I don't remember knowing why I did it or thinking about that, but I am. So yeah, it's the intriguing thing about the whole sport is that like the people who are the strongest are not all, or the people who are the best aren't always the strongest. So that guy right there on the right there, he like rides for Pink Rhino Racing from like New York State. And he wins. He dukes it out in a sprint against my brake mate. Okay, so there's an attack right there, and now it jumps up. Because no one really wants to pull it back, but they all kind of have to, or else he's going to win. Because it's a Cat 4-5. I mean, I'm in it. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I mean, I'm just trying to sit in wheels. And if you go back and look there, I'm out in the wind. Like, I don't have a draft. Like, I'm literally going. I'm outside of the group. So this is where I really start to move up. Is right here. I follow. Is it? I don't know. So I make a move pretty soon. It's either this lap or the next, but basically, oh, it's right about now. So is it? It may be. I'm feeling good, and I mean, heart rate's not too high, so it's not like super crazy. But that corner is always where attacks come, just because, I mean, last week it was a tailwind, and now it strings out really fast coming around that corner. So for me, I think the hardest part of this race, sorry, the commentary just cut out there, but the hardest part for this race was really just kind of getting into the feel of it, because because it's my second race and because it's like, I mean, it's fast and I'm not particularly aero, or I don't have a very aero bike or whatever. Like, it's, so I was worried about it going into it, and so I feel like I had overcompensated on pushing like hard, and so like right now I'm fourth wheel, and it's my second race, so this is me making not the best move of my life, but I went for it. So took that opportunity, and I'm literally going 30 miles an hour, and Ben Walton jumped on my wheel, and he was the pumpkin. He had the pumpkin on his face earlier, but he is right behind me. My heart rate's 190. Like, this is like the fullest gas I will ever go. Probably, well, not ever go, but it's very, very hard, and I'm struggling. So I flick Ben through, and it's just the two of us. But I can't hold his wheel, which is like, it makes, like, just looking back, I'm kicking myself. Like, why didn't you, because at some point, the elastic has to snap with the Peloton. Like, at some point, the Peloton's just gonna, especially in Cat 4 or 5, it's just gonna be, like, there's nothing left. Like, the Peloton is not gonna come back after you get a certain point away. We didn't get that far, mostly because I couldn't hold his wheel. So, on me, right, he tells us to sit up, and of course he's pedaling and going like 45 miles an hour, and I'm pedaling easy. I mean, he says to let it up, and so I'm going 18 and he's going 35. Go figure, right? But so we get caught, or after we stopped, we get caught and just try to fold back in and not die. So at this point, there's about 20-something minutes left in the race. I think just under 20 minutes. So yeah, we are going to jump ahead again just to get a little closer to the finish, because this is a really long time for me to be doing a voiceover, because I kind of ran out of things to talk about. So let's jump ahead to where there's actually something happening that's not my attack and me just being a newbie. So here we go. okay, there's like 15 laps to go, maybe. I don't exactly remember, and my GoPro didn't actually get the number. It just got the white blur of the sign that had the number of laps on it. So we're picking up action with about like with approximately 12 minutes left in the race. And so if you just saw a pumpkin on the side of the road, that was Kevin yelling at me. He was like, drink more water or sit in the wheels or like save, like just trying to, like simple things, but things like just trying to make sure that I was actually doing it, which was so helpful because having some, like just knowing that there's someone there who's like looking out for you and like saying that stuff, like so helpful. Like I'm just so grateful that he was there and willing to do that. So these guys on the outside who have already been dropped, not that guy either. But other people, that guy goes for a long shot attack, which was that. I mean, that was like a really long way to go for an attack. But the issues are going to happen with the people that get dropped. So the week before this, someone got dropped, like a junior in this race, got in my way, and I was forced outside to that sidewalk on the right where the guy just rode in the opposite direction. And then I was able to come back in because there weren't as many cones there. So, a little bit of foreshadowing. Something pretty similar is going to happen. So, coming around this corner, right, not a big deal. That guy on the outside has been dropped, not the orange, in the gray. And then there's a guy that's been dropped, two people actually, on the right over there, I think. Yeah, who've been dropped right there. And they're just trying to jump back in. And then you see there's like a group of people in the distance, and that is where the problem starts. It was like a junior, his first race maybe, whatever, who had gotten dropped, and then there was an adult who was coaching him like Ben was for me, or like Kevin was for me, except an adult right here. He gets kind of in my way. I get squeezed out because there's a guy right there. And so I go to the outside, and I go outside, but then I have to slow down a ton, and I just can't. Like, I'm absolutely wasted. So then I'm telling this kid that I'm on his right, and like he wouldn't move. So there's that slight problem. But I don't know. I just cracked. Like honestly, I cracked. So I try to get on this kid's wheel. I mean, and he's off the back. So like, this is probably the worst I've ever felt at any sporting event that I've participated in. I felt pretty bad at sports events that I've not been in. But then that guy had also, like, the pace just kicked up really high in the last little bit because, I mean, at this point, we're like 8 minutes from the finish, and so there's nothing, like, it's all, the pace has gotten high because attacks are flying, and people are trying to set it up for the sprint without teammates. Go figure. But I'm dropped. Like, truly, officially off the back, and I can't close it down. Like, I'm trying, my heart rate is approaching 190, and I'm trying. I probably should have, like, gotten into a time trial position and, like, tried to do that. I'm dropped, okay? And doing a super high cadence, so I try to take the inside line here. It doesn't really work because there's grass, and so it actually, like, little grass in the cracks on the road. So that kind of slows me down. I almost hit that curb too, so I had to brake there. So, and that's like, if you watch NorCal cycling, that's like rule number 1, don't brake. Unless you are about to, like, actually hit someone. Or break something or whatever. So I'm tootling along here because I'm gone. Like, I've been wasted. And Kevin is right there, and he sees that I'm gone. And so he comes out, and we're talking, blah, blah, blah. And I explain to him what happened and how that kid got in my way. And so he's not quite here yet. You'll see his shadow. So I'm drinking water and kind of just recovering. I mean, I'm literally going 13 miles. Like, this isn't a fluke. This speed is for real, I think. But going super slow and just waiting for the Peloton pack, whatever you want to call it, to come back around, because I can't, at this point they're already past that left-hander, the left-hand bend there. So I can't do anything. And I'm talking with this guy on the right. I was like, I got forced off the road by the kid who's literally ahead of me now because I got forced off the road. So yeah, and then Kevin comes and we're riding and talking about it. And he gets me back into the group, no problem. So technically, I didn't do the same distance as everyone else. But that's okay. We're going to disregard that. Because, I mean, at some point, everyone's going to get dropped, right? I mean, this is my first time for real getting dropped. But, like, you always hear, oh, it happens to everyone on their first time. Or like, it happens to everyone at some point, right? So I guess this was for real my first time getting dropped. So kind of just riding around waiting for the peloton to catch up. And here's Kevin, like a champ, absolute legend, by the way. He's coming in here to kind of just coach me through how to get back into the group and stay with. Because there were several times where, I mean, the whole reason that kid was in my way was because he tried to stay with the peloton and get in, and he wasn't budging. He wouldn't move his line, but he was going way slower than everyone else, and I was getting forced. Like, there were still other guys who were coming into the corner a little bit faster, who were coming up on me, and like. So I just had nowhere to go, right? So Kevin and I are talking right now. You probably won't be able to hear it because the volume is down on the actual video. But we're talking, a couple more laps go by. And eventually we just kind of, I get back in, which is nice, and so we'll speed up to there.
As long as you love me, yeah. As long as you love me, yeah. I gotta fight for a heart. I'm not scared of the dark. You've never seen it look so easy. I got a river for a soul, and baby you're a boat. Baby you're my only reason. If I didn't have you, there would be nothing left. The son of a man that could never be his best. I didn't have you, I'll never see the sun. You taught me how to be someone, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. There were 3 laps as soon as we cross kind of this arbitrary line that's not actually marked up here. And so I'm back in. I kind of have to fight for some wheels here. I don't have a rear cam, so you can't. Sorry about that. But kind of have to fight for some wheels in here. Thankfully, it's not too terribly ugly, and nothing really bad happens. And so 3 laps to go, right, of my second bike race ever, and I'm trying to get into position for a sprint, but so is every single other person in the group. So without like a huge lead out train, I mean, something that you see in crits like with Legion, where they just line it up with like 20 laps to go and just put 9 guys on the front. Like, without that, it's really hard to know how to position yourself, because every single other person has their own idea of where the best position needs to be, and no one really knows, especially for me coming in, like being an unknown quantity and everyone else in the field being an unknown quantity to me. I don't know who I need to watch or where exactly I should be. So, and the problem, okay, so 2 laps to go. The problem is that it kicks up, like hard. And all of a sudden, it gets way fast. And, I mean, it's like the fastest it's been, really, in the last, like, 2 laps. Because it's not really a lead out, but someone just attacked, and so the kid in the world champs get followed and surge. And notice I kind of get left in the dust here a little bit until it slowed. I mean, we're going 28 miles an hour, like crazy. So we get in. I almost hit that brake, which I ran over a couple of times. Luckily, nothing really happened. But there were a couple of bottles that had gotten lost on that, like right there, which was interesting. But so right now I'm on this guy's wheel and just trying to get back, and there's kind of a group of like 12, no, not 12, there's like a group of like 8 who kind of followed the really hard attack, and then it's almost like we're riding a pace line, because there's like guys on one side, guys on the other side, but then this corner kind of ruins it, and people are going, and it's the last lap. So what happens is everyone's charging to the finish because it's the last lap, right? So the goal is to kind of contest the sprint, but they're already way up at the corner ahead of me. So I have no real chance of contesting an actual sprint, or like of contesting the bunch, or like the first place. But Kevin, ever the hero, leads, basically kind of gives me a lead out, which I don't even follow because I'm not even on his wheel, but he's yelling at me to sprint, and there's that guy up on the right there, and so I kind of cut across and try to go on the outside there. And yeah, I mean, it was a decent finish, like 31 miles per hour, which was pretty fast for me, or like it was like low mid 30s. Pretty fast for me, not that fast compared to what you see in a pro peloton, or even in like a 1-2-3 peloton, but that was still pretty fast. So then it's kind of like those cool down laps, which is like kind of a great part of cycling, is like after the race, you may have been like enemies during the race, but after that it's everyone's like, oh, good race, like nice job, way to finish. Like it's so chill, especially on these last couple of laps, and everyone's like talking to each other and kind of just reflecting on it and generally having a good time. So that's super great. And I'm talking with Kevin right now. There he is, in his pumpkin jersey, New England Devo, developmental riding, whatever. And this is the sprint from another angle. So there's that group on the front on the left there. This is my sister recording things there, and I'm in the group right there. Not really following anyone's way, but they come around, and Pink Rhino Racing dude got the jump on Ben, and then that's 6 riders right there, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then I'm like 15th. So overall, great result, pretty happy with it, but just excited to be out on the road and be having a good time. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed.